Hey everybody, it's Shav and Nobody Else's Auto. We are here at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Co with our great friend Doug Prey, standing in front of another amazing car, which we've already shared with you, another boat tail speedster, but that's actually not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about, I'm going to call it a piece of artwork because I think that's what it is.
Well, it is, and this is very interesting. Is back when I was a kid, probably 10 years old, and when Dad bought the factory in 1960, I was 7 years old, and he said, I'm going to come out with a new modern day version of the original front wheel drive Cord. And that was kind of his claim to fame back then. He was on the cover of probably over a half a dozen car magazines, Road and Track.
Well, it was all over, yeah. I've seen tons of those magazines.
It was the big deal. He was the second generation cars, and even the kit car craze today was all started by Glenn Prey right here. He was the first to ever do it.
Inside these walls where we're standing.
Right. But he did it under the original trademark of the Auburn and Cords. So when he said, I'm going to come out with a modern day Cord, what they ended up with was a front wheel drive, which didn't exist in America, and they had to use a Corvair engine because they were a transaxle engine that was in the rear of a Corvair, and they put them in the front of a Cord. And so they were really wanting to make a full-size car, but there were no engines or transaxles, no front wheel drive stuff existed in America. And so the way to do it was to scale down the car, where cars were starting to get smaller about 64 when the new Mustang came out. And Gordon Buehrig, the original designer of the Cord, was a good friend of Dad's, and he helped him design the new Cord. The new Cord is now affectionately known as the Little Cord. And I don't know if we've done a video on the little Cords or not, but yeah, I think you did one with Felix de Guider.
We did some with Felix, yeah.
So the little Cord was designed by Glenn Prey and the original Gordon Buehrig back in the 60s. Well, a concept car that was designed is this particular car right here. This is an original watercolor done in about 1963 because Gordon Buehrig worked for Ford and was part of the project of the new Mustang coming out in 1964. So you can kind of see the resemblance of this concept new Cord in 1964. An original Cord next to the new concept Cord. This never got built. The new Cord ended up being almost exactly like the original except smaller, and not this modern design. But this was just simply a concept that never got built. This picture used to hang on the wall in his office back in the 60s, and he said, well, I didn't build that, that's not what we're going to do. And so it just got shoved back in the closets. Where I've semi-retired. My son's taken over the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company and doing a fabulous job, so I get to have fun now, and I'm going through all the archives in the factory, and I found this stuffed back in a corner with some water stains on it and a little tear in it, and I remembered it from my childhood. So that's an original pencil drawing that was watercolored, done in 1963 of a concept Cord that never got any further than this picture. But when you look at this today, I love the design. It's kind of like I'd like to buy a Mustang and convert it.
Well, and when you look at some of this, it's got a shorter deck. Like the Mustangs did when it came out.
Right.
They were incorporating some of the classic Cord features into the front of it.
Right.
So there's definitely some similarities.
Well, yeah,
there.
Even the Cord hubcaps, even the bars on the bumpers. I mean, they were very much, that would be a modern day, a 1964 version. If Ford had built it, that's probably what it would have looked like. But again, that car never got built. It doesn't exist. That is the original watercolor that was done back in 1963, and we saved it, and there it is.
Do you know who did this?
I probably could research it and find out. Felix de Guider, the historian, may happen to know, and you may pull that out of the frame and look on the back, and you may see a name.
Okay.
But I don't know who actually did the watercolor, and I don't know how much Gordon Buehrig's hand was in on that. I mean,
It's just odd with him being with Ford pre-Mustang days. Your dad says, "Hey, I've got an idea."
Right. And then this comes up. And so Gordon Buehrig certainly had to help in the design of the new Cord, and this was right during that design phase of it. And I love it. I mean, I absolutely love it. In fact, like I said, it'd be fun to even try to build it. one of these days. But that's the only example of it in the entire world you're holding right there, and I think it's pretty special.
It's beautiful. It's an amazing piece, and it's a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it never got built, it shows the ingenuity and the ideas of what your dad was trying to do, of tying the old with the new technology to revitalize the brand.
Yep, it's pretty incredible, and the Cord name stays alive, and continues to this day. And Auburns and Cords and Duesenbergs are still at the top of the list of collectible cars and the finest in the world. And to be able to grow up and be a part of all this new generation and old generation mix, it's been an absolute pleasure.
And with your son Adam taking over, it's got a bright future.
Yeah, he's the third generation now. So third generation, a bunch of young people involved, and we have 15 employees, 15 technicians that are some of the finest in the world to restore these cars. So if you have an Auburn Cord or Duesenberg and you need help or parts or advice or want us to restore or service, here we are.
So sounds great. Well, Doug, thanks for sharing this special piece with us. So much cool stuff here. Be sure to check out the entire Auburn Cord Duesenberg Company playlist on the channel, because every time we're here, it's more cool stuff. So Doug, as always, thanks a lot. We got a lot more cool stuff coming from here, so be sure to check all that out as well.
Hey, thank you.